much less putting all the figures in there. So I thank Linda for all of her hard work, as well as the department heads who we met with on several occasions. As is no surprise to anyone, when you look at the budget, taking into consideration the economic times that we're dealing with, cash is going to be extremely tight this year. Just a reminder, as I think I did last year, one of the things that we strive to do when we're putting the budget together is we try to be conservative on the receipt side. We try to be a little more liberal on the expense side. And without a doubt, this year, this upcoming year, we are going to have to be very conservative on the expense side as we go through the course of the year. Cash is going to be tight, there's no doubt about it. The state probably will continue to be behind. Hopefully the economy will turn just a little bit and the receipts will come in better than we've projected. And I'm asking all, and I do on almost any time that I see them, and you can ask them, when we talk about finances, anytime I meet with the department heads, the indication is that we have to scale down and get by with as little as possible, but we still have to operate the city. As we go into staff meetings this year, I've already indicated to them it's going to be more financial than they've been used to in the past, because we do have to keep very tight rein on the figures that we've got, due to the fact that we all know that it's going to be tight.
Overall, the budget this year is $13.3 million. Last year it was $15.3 million. The reason for this difference is mainly that the Old Town project is almost completed, and expenditures in Old Town were budgeted at, for this year are $2.1 million less than the prior year. And then the next thing that I'm going to touch briefly is the general fund, and then I'm going to turn it over to Al Hudzik, and he's going to go into more detail regarding the budget. If you look on page 3 of the budget, in the right column, year ended April 30, 2011, the estimated column, the excess of receipts over disbursements, and it's really excess of disbursements over receipts, is $28,271. So that means we have more, we're budgeting more expenditures than we have money coming in. I have some small amounts that we can eliminate from the budget that we haven't already done that would almost cover that $28,000 deficit.
Just touching upon, a couple of the things that I had put in my notes. We are estimating the real estate taxes coming in at 100% of what was levied. We've been pretty consistent in years past in receiving those, and so that's the way we put them in there. Sales tax receipts, $1.305 million. As I had indicated in my notes, that is an estimated increase of 5% above what we received this year. This year, you might recall, we received approximately $100,000 less than we did last year. We had projected that we would receive maybe $50,000 to $60,000 less. I believe they're going to come in somewhere between what we did last year and what we did this year. And hopefully with the economy, at least we're seeing signs of it turning a little bit, will be beneficial for us. And I know that Linda sent to me, I forget whether it was today or Friday, figures from Weber Chevrolet showing sales tax receipts of approximately $22,000 in March. That is the highest March that we can see in our records. And so hopefully things are starting to turn. Illinois income taxes, we utilize the figure that the state of Illinois gave us at $77 per resident. We don't know what the state is going to be doing with that, but nonetheless, we have to estimate something, and that's the best estimate that we've got. Not only that, but we did put in the arrearage as an expected receipt. Now, I'm not sure that ultimately we're going to receive all of that, but we have to reflect it somewhere because that is a receipt that's due to the city from the state, and although unlikely, it's a possibility that we might receive it. If at the end of the year, and when you're looking at the cash on the next page, the cash balance, if we balance this all out, is going to be showing approximately $300,000. If we don't get that 288, you have to understand we're just going to be scraping by. It's the same way that it's been done in years past. The only difference is now we know the state is behind. In past years, it wasn't necessarily the case. So you have to, I want everybody to understand, and that's why I'm saying it's going to be very tight cash flow. We understand that we're going to have to control expenses far more this year than probably we've ever seen as a city. And use tax, once again, which is on page 3, $39,300 of $108,000. That is a figure that we've received from the Illinois Municipal League as far as their guidance, their best guidance on what we might be receiving there. All other expenses, not expenses, but revenues, I think probably you would be able to see that they're basically in line with what either we've received in the past, or when we took a look at building permits and items coming through the building department, we do have a couple of months of this year to rely on data. Now, of course, we're going into a new fiscal year, but when we took a look at the months of January, February, March of this year versus January, February, March of last year, receipts are up. We know building permits are up. Hopefully that will continue in the trend, and although we did estimate that we would receive more than we have in this particular year, we didn't increase that figure by a great deal.
Before we move into the expenses, I'd like to say one thing about the general fund revenue on page 3. This year we are budgeting to transfer in $445,000 from the Capital Development Fund, the same amount that we transferred last year. And when I was talking about the capital equipment and capital projects, the amount of capital projects that we have in the general funds is $451,770. So we can consider this transfer of $445,000 as covering capital outlay and capital projects in the general fund. Okay, that's all I have.
Okay. In any event, we know that cash is going to be tight. There's no question about that. We can discuss a couple of the departments if you want to, but what I would like to do is to take a look at departments that are seeing either large changes in cash or problems that have developed that we've had to face this year, that going into the budgetary process we may not have had to, we may not have had that knowledge that we were going to face the problems. And some of those are in the notes that I've got here. Before I go to other funds, I just want to touch a little bit on legal fees. You can see that I've reduced those by half. We've been able to control those to some extent. I believe we'll be able to continue to control those as we go forward. So as the city attorney legal fees has been reduced in half. We did take the labor council, corporate council, whatever you want to say, down from 45 to 30. We've been able to reduce those again this year, and I'm doing everything that I can. I think everybody recognizes that, to keep those legal fees down, and I'll continue doing that. For the legal fees for Columbia Crossings, we just left that as it was at the same amount as last year. Hopefully we don't have to expend those monies, and that will give us a little bit of a cushion on the general fund if indeed we don't have to expend those.